25. Can we please salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Woburn School Committee meeting. Could the superintendent please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Present.
Ms. Chisholm.
Here.
Ms. Cormier.
Here.
Mr. Lipset. Present. Mr. Morenin.
Present.
Ms. Wetzel.
Here.
Ms. Crowley.
Present. So we're all present and accounted for. Moving first on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come and speak before the committee? Please be advised that when you come and speak before the committee, you are being recorded, and this meeting is being recorded. You have 3 minutes to address the committee, and please refrain from any remarks that disparage any staff member of the Woburn Public Schools. Of course. Yes, you come and sit right here. Good evening. How are you doing tonight?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to begin by recognizing the importance and dedication of our firefighters, many who have served our community for years, and I'm now learning often from a firehouse that is aged and too small. Their current facility is inadequate for modern operations, and that's why we're here today. Our firefighters deserve safe, functional facilities, and we support giving them the resources that they need to continue protecting us. That said, the decision before the committee tonight is about school land, a finite and irreplaceable resource. While the law may allow repurposing of school land, it does not obligate this committee to give up valuable green space that can continue to serve students' education, well-being, and development. The committee has worked hard to manage limited school space carefully, most recently through redistricting. This decision should follow the same thoughtful approach, looking not only at today's needs, but at what flexibility the district may need 10 to 20 years from now. If the district is already short on space, giving up this land now reduces flexibility for meeting future needs. School property cannot easily be reclaimed. Once transferred, it cannot serve future classrooms, enrollment growth, outdoor programs, or other educational opportunities. This decision will have lasting consequences for decades, affecting not only today's students, but generations to come. Many neighbors, including families who live directly adjacent to the school, are concerned about increased traffic and the loss of valuable green space. Our opposition reflects a shared commitment to preserving the safety, health, and quality of community environment, not opposition to the fire department. Even if residents say that they are satisfied with a school near the current firehouse, federal health and school siting guidelines show that children are vulnerable to noise and diesel exposure. We should not assume that satisfaction equals safety. Each location must be evaluated carefully based on up-to-date science and the specific conditions surrounding the school. We ask the committee to prioritize preserving this land for future educational and community use. If, despite these concerns, the committee approves the use of this land for a fire station, we strongly urge that all mitigation measures directly addressing the committee's concerns be required and fully enforced to protect students from noise, diesel, and traffic. Tonight, I'm also submitting a number of signatures from many residents, including a lot of direct abutters to the school property, asking that the city not locate the fire station here. These signatures reflect a shared concern about the loss of open space, safety impacts, and long-term consequences for both the school and the neighborhood. This decision today is about the stewardship of school property, student safety, and long-term planning for the community. We can support firefighters and also support the neighborhood.
Thank you. I didn't catch your name, ma'am.
It's Corey Popolo.
Thank you.
On Parker Street.
Thank you very much for coming and speaking for the committee. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come and speak for the school committee?
I'm sorry, Ms. Popolo, if you have documentation, could you leave it with Ms. McLeod? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lips. I appreciate that.
Any of the above. Just so we can enter it into the record and the committee can get access to it.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come and speak before the committee tonight? Seeing none. Moving on to the City Council Liaison to the School Committee, Mr. Viola.
Oh, wait. I think
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, Ms. Friedman, how are you doing tonight?
Well, thanks.
You know the rules, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great.
I'll be brief. Hi, my name is Bernice Friedman. I'm a resident of Leonard Street, and I wanted to focus my comments on the school building plans. And I look forward to hearing the results of the survey, which was released on July 30th. But as you analyze the numbers and deliberate on this agenda item, I hope you would look at the survey result with a critical eye, because in my opinion, the proposal and the survey was not widely publicized since July. And quite frankly, the school building plan should have had at least as much, if not more, community and public meetings as the Station 5 project. So I hope you will not rely solely on the survey as you guide the direction of the SOI, and I hope you would prioritize building the North Woburn Elementary School because and have more public meetings on this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to come and speak before the committee? Hello, President Nickerson. How are you doing tonight?
Coming in hot.
Okay. Do you know the rules?
Yes, and
Thank
I'm going
you.
to try to talk really quickly, but I have some things I want to say.
Okay.
Christy Nickerson, longtime educator at the Alta Vista Elementary. So, good evening. I'm here speaking tonight not just as a teacher, but as someone who has spent years working in one of our city's oldest elementary schools. I love my school, I love the kids, I love the families, and I love the staff. But every day I'm reminded that our building doesn't always love us back. The systems are old, the classrooms are not built for how children learn today. And while other parts of our city have seen their schools rebuilt and renewed, our students in North Woburn are still waiting. Over the past 25 years, our city has done some amazing work rebuilding our schools, with the high school and then 5 of our 7 elementary schools. The plan was always to finish the job by rebuilding the 2 remaining elementary schools together as one. But the projects have kind of lagged, and time hasn't lagged with them. The 4 buildings that are left behind are the ones that are in the worst shape. No doubt about it. They all need to be done. We need modern HVAC. We have outdated safety systems. We have crumbling infrastructure in those buildings. We're at a crossroads again. So do we build the elementary schools first, or do we start with the middle schools? I know some people say, well, we should do the middle schools first because we serve more kids. And I understand that argument. But I want to ask all of us to think about this differently. The question isn't how many students we reach at once, it's which students need it the most, and where the investment will make the biggest difference over time. The truth is, the earlier we invest in children, the greater impact we make on them. Research from places like Brookings Institution and Urban Institute shows that every dollar we put into early education pays us back many times over in student success. When we give our youngest learners safe, healthy, inspiring places, we don't just make school better for them, we give them a stronger start in life. And right now, the children who need that start the most are in the 2 schools that haven't been rebuilt in North Woburn.
1 more minute.
Every other elementary student in our city is learning in a bright, modern building. But in North Woburn, our youngest students are learning in schools that haven't kept up. It's not just about bricks and pipes, it's about fairness. When we tell those kids and those families to wait again, we're going to send a message that we don't mean to send, and that their learning matters less than the other students. And as someone who teaches those children every day, I can tell you they are extraordinary children. They deserve the same clean air, safe systems, and modern classrooms that every other child in our city has been afforded. Now, I know there was a survey, and I think Bernice probably said something about it, but I want to also mention that I don't know what the results are, but I think we also have to look at those and understand that every child in the city is going to eventually go through a middle school, and so there's going to be, by nature, more public interest in a middle school than there is in the 2 smaller elementary schools. What I would like to see.
Maybe like 10 seconds. I can't really see.
What I'd like to see, and you guys all know this because I've said it 100 times, is to see both of these projects move forward at once. I'd like to be able to seek state funding to fund one and then come up with a plan where the city, the school committee, the WTA, everyone is rowing the boat in the same direction and pushing forward a project that we could potentially make these things happen at once.
Time's up, Christine,
Okay.
sorry. Sorry. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the committee?
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
If Christy wants to leave the minutes, what you wrote
Yeah.
with Jean, we could all review it later?
I'll send it over.
Okay, thank you.
It's not pretty yet.
Okay. Okay, thanks, sorry.
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Okay. Mr. Viola? Hello, Councilman Viola. How are you doing tonight?
Good evening, Madam Chair. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Good evening, members of the school committee administration. I have two correspondence I know you've received previously, but they've asked me to read them into the record, so I'll read it in tonight, if that's okay. First one's from Jim Burke. He says, "Hi Chuck, just wanted to send a quick message regarding the proposal of a new Woburn Fire Department station at the Reeves School location. I tried to fill out the survey, but it's only open to people who have a Gmail account. I think that we as a community should take care of those who take care of us. I fully support Woburn Fire Department getting a new house at this location. It can't happen soon enough. Thank you, Jim Burke." And secondly is a press release from the Woburn Firefighters Union, which their president would have been here tonight, but he's actually sick, so he asked me to read this to you. So it says, "Woburn Firefighters Local 971 supports Reeves School site for new Station 5. Woburn Firefighters Local 971 proudly announces its full support for placing the city's new Station 5 at the Reeves Elementary School. After decades of continuous development across Woburn, often without consideration for fire station infrastructure, the city now faces limited options. The Reeves site offers the best solution in terms of space, response times, and cost. Concerns have been raised about the station's proximity to children. However, historical precedent shows these fears are unfounded. Engine 4 operated just 200 feet from the Goodyear School for decades, with a crosswalk directly in the fire truck apron, used by hundreds of students and parents, without incident. Similarly, the former Station 2 was located next door to World of Wonder for years, also without issue. In terms of noise, sirens are rarely used when departing the station. In fact, they are more frequently activated from the opposite direction. If sirens are needed, they would be typically engaged past the school near the Four Corners intersection. After speaking with numerous residents, the union has found strong community support for placing a fire station near their children. Many constituents expressed a preference for having firefighters nearby, citing the safety, rapid response, and quiet professionalism they bring. Unlike other potential developments, a fire station offers a low-impact presence and helps preserve the character of the neighborhood. Placing Station 5 at the Reeves not only protects our community, it protects the integrity of the neighborhood for generations to come. That was said by a spokesperson for Local 971. And then it says, "We are proud to be quiet, respectful neighbors, and we're committed to serving Woburn with the highest standards of safety and care." And then it's sincerely Sean Wheatlow, President, Local 971.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wheatla, if you're listening to this. Is there anyone else in the audience? Oh, I'm sorry, but now in public comment. We moved on. Student representative.
Hi.
Hello, Ms. Castaldi. Nice to see you tonight.
Good to see you too.
Do you have a report for us?
I do. I have quite a few things.
Okay, good.
So, tomorrow we'll have the first SAT during school. That's never happened before at Woburn High. I'll be participating in that, so wish me luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Additionally, fall sports are winding down, and volleyball and field hockey are participating in the playoffs. Field hockey hasn't participated in this in quite a long time. Homecoming dance is November 21st. It's usually a sold-out event. All of us enjoy planning it, decorating the hallways. There's a Halloween costume contest on Friday. I'll be Hansel, and my friend will be Derek from Zoolander. The football game that Friday as well will be themed as, dress up in your costume. The term will be ending soon. I believe it is in like a couple weeks. And tomorrow is Wear Pink to support breast cancer. Additionally, Friday, 6th and 7th period.
6-7. You're welcome, everyone.
Okay, yeah.
You should see the look Dr. Crowley gave me.
I mean, we all gave you that look.
I'm sorry.
You guys already
Representative Castaldi, I'm sorry. Please continue. That was rude of me.
The Model UN will be hosting a movie night in the auditorium. They'll be playing The Nightmare Before Christmas. I also wanted to add, after listening into the public comment, I can't personally speak on the condition of the elementary schools, but I can recall when I was in middle school how we'd be on the first floor, and I was in English class, Mr. Hubbard's room. We were above the boiler room, and it got so hot in the classrooms that we had to go outside. It was about 90 degrees out, and the inside temperature of the classroom reached well above that. So for our safety, we had to, leave the classroom. And I think that's a pretty common experience for most students in the middle schools.
Did you say which school you went to?
I went to the
Representative
Kennedy.
Kennedy?
Yeah. And that's
Well-
all I have.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Representative Castaldi?
My question was going to be about what school you went to and what your experience was. So
Yes.
thank you for answering that ahead of time.
It's just so great that you express your opinion on that subject. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course.
Mr. Mulrennan?
Thank you, Madam Chief. If I could, also on Friday, the Key Club is hosting a annual blood drive.
Yes.
On Halloween Day, but that's
Yeah.
when they're doing their blood drive.
They do it every year. I participated last year, but it made me a little queasy, so I don't think I'll be doing it again.
Are they dressing as vampires?
It's
It's a
Friday
great
dress-up
question.
day, so who knows?
That would, good one, Andrew.
Thank you.
Okay, you got it.
Again, I have limited time, so.
Get them all in.
Does anyone have any more questions for Representative Castaldi? No, I'm not seeing any. Thank you so much for coming. You are, of course, welcome to stay and help the committee deliberate on some important matters. Or if you have homework and other things you need to address, you can also leave.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And she's out of here.
Madam Chair, I'd
Good
like
luck
to make
tomorrow.
a motion to
Thank you.
move item D ahead on the reports and
Good idea.
presentations.
Okay, so I have a motion to move select MASC representative, Mr. Mike Mulrennan, as the representative of the school committee at the conference. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll take that out of order. The chair received an email from Mr. Mulrennan expressing that he would like to be the MASC rep on behalf of the Woburn School Committee at the Massachusetts Association of School Committees Conference. Do I have any action on that?
I'll make a motion that we elect Mr. Mulrennan as the MASC representative for this year's conference.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any deliberation on that motion? Mr. Mulrennan, would you like to speak on your own behalf?
I was thinking about, if anybody sees any voting matters or resolutions that is mailed to us or any emails, please let me know. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mulrennan. Any further deliberation on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Mulrennan.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to move back to the regular order of business?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Okay, back to the regular order of business. We have before us a very important question, whether or not the Gillis Field located on the grounds of the Reeves School is still used for education purposes pursuant to Mass General Laws 40, section, by the way, it's section 15A, not 3, made a mistake. 15A deals directly with land, which states that when a board no longer has use for land for its intended purposes, when such land should give notice of such determination to the city council of the city or the board of selectmen of the town that is no longer in need of education purposes, which is our purview. Do I have any action, or does anyone have anything that they want to start the discussion with?
I'd like to make the motion that we turn over the land to the city by making notice of such determination to the city council.
Second.
Do I have a discussion on that motion? Yes, Ms. Wetzel.
Yes, I just wanted to first say thank you for the fire department for being here and for all the work that's gone into it. Councilor Viola, your work as well, and Mayor Concanon. And also, I think the community survey, I think we should talk about that. I think it's important. The community really came out and had, I think, a lot of really great points, both in favor of the station, not in favor, and then just concerns that they had, and just looking at putting the fire station there, some of the things that I noticed the community had concerns around, which I know, speaking with Councilor Viola, the community will have more opportunities to speak at the Conservation Commission meeting and Special Permits Committee meetings as well. But just to point out here, from the survey, people brought up concerns around traffic, particularly during drop-off and pickup times, noise, we heard about exhaust, and the vulnerable population at the school and how that could adversely affect them. And I know in hearing from everyone 2 weeks ago, we talked about a lot of barriers and buffers that we can put in place at the school. So I just want to make sure that as we're looking at this, should we vote in favor, that we continue to address the needs of the community and they continue to be heard as they were in the survey, and as though I'm assuming anyone who wanted to go to those committee meetings. And I know this is a collaborative effort, and we talked about that last committee meeting as well, but I thought it was important to bring up. And again, thank you to those that filled this survey out. It definitely was insightful.
Thank you, Ms. Wetzel. Any further deliberation? Vice Chair Chisholm.
I just want to go on record saying no one's against the fire station and movement, and no one's against the firefighters shouldn't have the top things that they need in a building. Every single area of the city should have a fire station, and I support that. But I'm a little concerned just giving away land when we're going to be asking people to build a new school, and it just kind of looks kind of off kilter when we're saying we don't need this, but we need more someplace else. But I do feel better that the closeness of a fire station to an elementary school, for God forbid we needed them, it would be a plus on that point. But I do want to go on record saying that I hope that the media, when we start the building, the school is involved from day one. It's a little backwards the way this came to us. I mean, the designs were all done, and then we were asked for permission for the land instead of coming to us first. It would have been nice if we were involved at that point. But just to make sure that we do get things like the fence put in, get things like the soundproofing put in, and the parents are involved from day one. And I'd also like to point out that I hope that our facilities manager is involved also, so that he is aware of what's going on that site every single day. And I know that that's something I'm sure that everybody is aware of and will make possible. But I don't want the schools to be left out in this process as they have been to this point. So I just think that we... no one's against the fire station. No one's against wanting it, needing it. It's a definite need. But we just want to make sure that we're doing right by the schools, because that's what our job is. So I just want to make sure that we do what's best for the city on the school side. So I vote in favor of this, but we want to make sure that when we come before the city council and we need a new school, we get the support from them, and we're backed by them. And when we need something at the Reeves School, because we are going to have, and the feasibility study shows that we need things there, that we get approval to go with that too. So that's, and I'm happy that you're doing a 3-bay, looking towards the future, and hopefully an ambulance and a ladder truck is put over there faster than we can possibly prove that. But I just want to make sure that we are on record knowing that we absolutely are going to need mitigations on this as being a direct abutter to the property. Thank you.
Mr. Lipson.
So, I mean, I do want to just note, it is not in this body's purview to approve a fire station or not. What we're doing is asserting that the land in question does not have educational usage, and that's, that we heard, we heard discussion of that last meeting. It seemed pretty clear that, except for a few limited and easily solvable things, that largely no, this land is not used for educational purposes. And so in that regard, I'll be voting in favor as well, but I appreciate Mrs. Chisholm's comments and concerns, and Ms. Wetzel's comments and concerns. I do note, in our last meeting, we talked primarily about issues when the fire station has been constructed and is in use. And I do note, we did receive an email through Dr. Crowley from Lenny Burnham, just sort of talking a little bit about some of the concerns around construction. And so, I think it was Ms. Wetzel's point, maybe it was Pat, maybe it was your point, making sure that Mr. Burnham is involved in this process as well. But also, making sure, seeing if we can, as he said, look at a dedicated construction entrance so that is not interfering with school operations. Trying to make sure that blasting is not occurring during construction. If there is such a thing, if blasting is necessary, that's happening outside of school hours when students are no longer present. I think this is something that we've seen a little bit. As it's been pointed out, there's a fire station near the Goodyear that has not been a major issue. I work at a school where there's a police station that shares the same site as us. That has not been an issue. But I think that having been said, we should absolutely make sure that we can get any mitigation that we can possibly get into this. And I hope also that we can arrange that a representative from the committee or from the administration is part of this process along with Mr. Berman. So I'll be voting in favor, but I just wanted to make sure that was out there as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lipset. Mr. Mulrennan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No surprise, I'll also be voting in favor of this. In reference to Mr. Viola's letter from the union, Mr. Wheeler also forgot to mention that the brand-new headquarters right there on Main Street it's a daycare center, but it's a facility that houses young children, and it's to my belief, nothing's ever occurred there. Lights, sirens, noises, so another instance where they're good neighbors, they're friendly neighbors, and they're going to be part of the neighborhood as well. So I just want to make sure that that goes on record as well. Another case of being a good neighbor by the fire service and the school department. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mulrennan. Anything else? Ms. Chisholm, Vice Chair Chisholm, I'd ask you to take the gavel.
May not get it back. Go ahead. I recognize Ms. Crowley.
The one thing that convinced me that, we no longer use it, we don't use this land for education purposes, that's clear. We have not heard anything about using the land for education purposes, so I think that fills me with clarity that this is the right decision. I also heard from Chief Kenton that the firefighters are currently in deplorable conditions. So any vote in the negative by this committee would delay construction of a fire station, and I just really can't tolerate that because I think we need to make sure our first responders are in the appropriate setting when they do their work. So for those two reasons, I am completely in favor of this motion.
Okay. Give it back to you. Hand it on back. Thank you.
Okay, having been duly appointed back to the chair, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this motion? I'll call it. I'll move the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes.
Madam Chair, can I also make a motion that we authorize the chair and/or the superintendent to participate in the special permit hearing in order to ensure protection of the bereaved students during construction or other constituent concerns?
Yes, I think that it's very important to note that we will move from just being landlords and holders of this land to abutters, where we will have a voice in the in what we need to protect the schools during the construction period. So I have a motion to make sure the committee is well represented in that process.
Second that motion.
Anyone, any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So at this point, because the school committee has determined that the Gillis Field is no longer used for education purposes, it will revert back to the city council. And I will be informing the city council that we have made that determination. Okay, moving on to the other thing.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. Members of the committee, we appreciate it. Thank you. You guys don't want to stay?
We got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I think I'm going to chatter a little bit, so I think I'm going to ask the vice chair to take the gavel again.
Thank you.
To set the,
I'll just toss it the next time.
okay, so the next item, sorry, Vice Chair.
I recognize
Chair
Ms. Crowley.
Chisholm. Thank you. So the item on the agenda is to deliberate the statement of interest to be filed at the Massachusetts School Building Authority, in which the committee is now charged with directing the superintendent to file what is called a statement of interest in order to construct a school building. The statement of interest is clearly just a cover letter indicating which project the committee sees as the priority project in the city of Woburn. There are 4 old buildings: the Joyce, the Kennedy, the Alta Vista, and the Linscott Rumford. And so this committee has to decide which building project it's going to try to solicit support for the MSBA. The SOI is a process through which the superintendent lays out the conditions of the buildings in question and then gives an impression of how we would solve those problems. For instance, we would file an SOI for the Alta Vista School and the Linscott School. We would call it the elementary school project, and we would say we are looking to consolidate those schools into one building. The other alternative is the middle school project, in which we would state that we have condition issues with 2 of the middle schools, and we would like the MSBA to participate with us in constructing a new middle school. And so we can do both, but we have to prioritize one. And so it's this committee's role to determine which one. The school committee decides which one is best for education purposes, and then it goes to the city council, and city council votes as to whether or not the city can afford it in the next 2 years. So those are the 2 delineations of voting as far as I understand it. The superintendent did have a phone call with MSBA in order to hear from them exactly what the process is, and so he can elaborate on anything that I said.
Sure. Just a few more details. We as a city need to prioritize. So in other words, the MSBA will not prioritize for us. That has to happen at the local level. And so the question then is the priority of North Woburn Elementary or the middle schools. And so that was one of the things that was clear in my conversation through MSBA. Number 2 was last year, Woburn participated in the MSBA facility study. So we have survey data of all of our schools. And so one of the things that was recommended is that we look at the survey that was just completed last year. So Mr. Burnham was actively involved in that. So I would recommend that we take a look at the 4 schools collectively before making any decisions, and Mr. Burnham has that data. The other thing, and you alluded to it, there's 2 votes that have to occur. The school committee votes, and then the city council votes, and before you can submit to the MSBA. The deadline is in mid-March, so these things need to happen sooner rather than later. It is a little bit more cumbersome than a cover letter, but it is. But we have the elements, we have the data. We just need to plug it in accordingly. The other inquiry that I made was, what is the reimbursement rate for the MSBA? And the response was she couldn't give me an exact percentage because it ebbs and flows. It's based on our socioeconomic data. And so what she did tell me is that if we looked at our last project and plus or minus 5% from the last project, that would kind of tell you where you might land relative to the reimbursement. And so the Harold Wyman was our last project, and our reimbursement rate there was 54.74%. And so if you say plus or minus 5%, you're either around 50% or 60% reimbursement. And just for context, prices have escalated quite a bit.
Yeah.
The Harold Wyman, the total cost was $24.6 million. So it was listed on MSBA reimbursement. So it's the cost of building, as we all know, has escalated exponentially. And so I do believe that it's incredibly expensive to build, but it's incredibly expensive to wait to build. So that's really where we are. So that, if that's helpful.
Do you want to present the data, the survey data?
Sure. So, as we heard tonight, she's here tonight. I don't know if she's, oh, yeah, Ms. Danisco is here. She presented, it was July 30th, correct? So, midsummer. And after Ms. Danisco's presentation, we published a survey and kept it open through last week. We had a whopping 166 responses. And so I say that because I don't know that it's really indicative of the number of people to provide feedback. With that being said, the survey, not surprising, the questions were the priority of consolidating the North Woburn, addressing the ECP needs, or consolidating, updating the middle schools. It was virtually tied between, and I shared this data with the school committee, and so the North Woburn and the middle schools were within one vote of each other. And so in the feedback, and again, I shared this with the committee, there was a range of response relative to what the priority should be. Again, there's reference to a plan that was developed years ago that had North Woburn Elementary in the queue. And so people felt strongly that that emerged as a priority because they've been waiting for that to happen. We just heard that again tonight. And so, but then Ms. Kate, she left. She's got SATs. But the Kennedy, obviously we've done facility tours, building tours. I want to recognize the mayor still here. We did a tour in February of 2020 before, it was February 29th, on a Saturday before the world shut down. And so we've been actively looking at the buildings, and I don't think, we need both. That's the, and so it's asking me to like pick my favorite child, and I can't, and so, but I can, I just won't do it publicly. So again, there's a lot of factors in this. The cost, again, is significantly higher than the Harold Wyman. So I will do whatever the committee directs me to do relative to the SOI, and I've spoken to Mr. Dizio and Mr. Burnham, and we all know that it's going to be a busy fall.
So right now, the committee has in front of it a feasibility study that is 800 pages denoting very specifically the conditions of all of our buildings, not just the 4. We had a building committee that was convened formed by Mr. Lipset when he was chair, which we met for about 8 months and walked through all of the buildings and went into the guts of the buildings, such as the boiler room, and we went into classrooms and we saw the deficits in each classroom. And we made a determination as chair, I'll just report out, as you've all seen the recommendations, that the middle school should be prioritized by the MSBA, but that building committee, as Ms. Nickerson very eloquently expressed tonight, that recommendation for the middle schools to go forward was very much interrelated to also the North Woburn School being funded by the city directly. So to say that they just prioritized the middle school going through MSBA and waiting around on the North Woburn, that was not the recommendation. The recommendation, as we know, and you've heard it now, 15 times from me, that the recommendation was to go forward with MSBA for the middle school for a consolidation project and for the North Woburn School to be running alongside it simultaneously. And I'm just reporting out the building committee's recommendations. And so at this point, we have feasibility study, building recommendations, a survey, and at least 2 forums by architect Danisco. So I think at this point, we might have enough data to sift through. But anyways, so I will, I believe I've finished my speech, so I can take back the chair.
Does anybody have any questions on what Ms.
Yes,
Crowley
I'm sorry,
had to say?
thank you, Vice Chair.
Mr. Lipset?
Not a question, but before we have any sort of motion, I just want to make sure that we sort of really spend some time with the idea that we do both of these at the same time. I say this in full recognition of the political realities, in full recognition of the fiscal realities. We'd be asking a lot of the city, we'd be asking a lot of the taxpayers. But what I want to make sure we understand is that we are going to have to ask that of the city and the taxpayers anyway. It's just now we would do it at once rather than over a long period. Construction costs are not getting any lower right now. They are only getting higher. The longer we wait, especially on a project as large as the middle school or as large as an elementary school, the higher those costs will be. This is a tough decision. It's a tough decision for us, and I know, I'm looking at the mayor right now. I know it will be a tough decision for him and for the city council as well. But the people elected us to make the tough decisions. And so, what I think we need to remember here is, first, one of the areas of Woburn where we are seeing the greatest growth and the greatest potential for growth in our student population is North Woburn. If we fund a North Woburn Elementary School through MSBA, we are limited in the amount of space that we can build it for. This is what happens with school buildings across the Commonwealth. You build them, and look, all of a sudden, more students show up, and those buildings open crowded. If we are able to build a middle school using MSBA money, we will be saving more on a reimbursement. We will be able to use city money to build a North Woburn Elementary School while anticipating population growth in North Woburn and making it so that we can grow into the building rather than away from it. We will be probably building a North Woburn Elementary School faster than we will the middle school. Building it on our own time and on our own dime will allow us to get a building up faster. So students in North Woburn will have a building before the middle school opens. Right? The more we put this off, the more difficult it becomes, and the more we risk larger problems at either a middle school or an elementary school. The longer we put this off, the more, we have read the feasibility study, we've heard presentations on the feasibility study. Our middle schools, and especially I'm talking about the Kennedy right now, are not in good shape. They are, I don't want to alarm anyone. They are safe buildings, but they are showing their age. And I think, now is the time where we really need to address that and think about what the potential costs of waiting are in addition to the real actual monetary costs here. So, I want to build a school. I will vote for what the committee puts forward. But I think we really, really need to take a hard look at the idea of funding through MSBA and funding a North Woburn Elementary School on our own. So I'll get off my soapbox here.
Ms. Cormier?
Thank you. I agree with everything Mr. Lipset said. I was not part of the building committee, but I did attend the walkthrough and the meetings as an observer. If I have to choose one project, it's North Woburn, but that comes with the issues around MSBA buildings. So what you hear about the Harold Lyman, people complain, well, as soon as they opened it, it was too small. That's because more than 50% of the money came from the state, and you have to meet their specifications. Mr. Lipset knows this from the high school that he works in, that you can't build it with the idea that many more people are going to be coming, even if you know, as we know, a lot of the building that's going to be coming to North Woburn. Ideally, the elementary school would be built to our own specifications. We could put an ECP on it. We could build it as big as we think we need to, within reason financially, and then the middle schools, ideally build on, attach to the field house here. Because if we wait, 10 years, say, I think it was Mr. DeMambro from the City Council mentioned, if you have a 4% inflation every year, in 10 years it's 40% more, you're going to pay the same amount, even with MSBA assistance in 10 years. So you might as well, easy for us to say here on this side of the table, do them concurrently, and that way you won't have to follow that sort of cookie cutter plan for the elementary school. And again, it will be faster and more to your own specifications. So it's an investment, but I think even as a person without children, I would appreciate if that were the way that it were to go. I don't know if it's too late for that, I guess, is my thought and my question for the committee is, at this point, do we have a possibility of doing both plans? And if not, that's what my vote today is going to be based on.
Jesse?
I had a similar question to Ms. Cormier's about the process and what that would look like if we voted today to say yes to one and hold on the other, or if we vote to do both. What does that look like, and then what's the turnaround time if, say, that plan doesn't work and it has to come back to us? Does that allow us enough time to still get the SOI out before the deadline? I don't know, but I think that's something important to...
We only need the city council's vote on an SOI plan. So if we would simply, what we're voting on tonight is a statement of interest. I don't think we're voting we don't have the authority to appropriate the money for a new building. We can only make a recommendation, right? So I think tonight we're just simply directing the superintendent to file a statement of interest. And I think that's really what our discussion is about. And of course, we can say anything else we want to the city council as well, I suppose.
Ms. Cormier?
So then that is part of, like she said, my question. So if we say, I would like to submit an SOI for the middle schools with the idea that North Woburn will be built on its own.
I don't think we submit.
If we don't end up, then North Woburn is waiting longer.
Yes.
If I had, that's I guess the idea is if we had to pick one, is that what we have to do? And I guess if that were the case, we could turn around and do another SOI for North Woburn, it's just a lot more work,
So I do know that districts often do more than one SOI, and then they simply note which one is the priority one, and then the other one is simply filed.
backup.
Yeah. I just,
Go ahead.
since I don't have the chair, I'll just express my opinion. I think that I will be happy with building any school. I think any new school in the city would be fantastic for all learners. I am in favor of the middle school the middle school project being the priority, because I think the Kennedy is in need of replacement more than any other building in the city, and I feel very strongly about that. I also think that the SOI should include an ECP as attached to the middle school, so that we're also addressing the overcrowding issue at the Reeves in terms of the ECP. So I would support that we move forward with the SOI for the middle school and include a very poignant effort to also construct an ECP on that site as well, because we really need to address the ECP, and that's a priority of mine. However, I'm certainly not going to get upset about a new North Woburn school, because I feel like I am a team player, and if my fellow city council members decide that we cannot afford the MSBA right now for the middle school, can't afford the city portion of the middle school project, I think it would only be worse in 10 years. But if we can't, then we have to come back to the drawing board, then I would be okay with that as well, of course. But that's I would love to support the North Woburn School, because I do think it's easier. It's the road of least resistance, because it's a smaller project. It's less expensive. But I really think we would be doing a disservice to our learners if we just completely ignored the conditions of the middle school and the Joyce, particularly since the Kennedy Middle School is, in fact, the oldest school. So, with the exception, the exception of certain parts of the Linscott.
Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you for allowing me to speak, Ms. Vice Chair Chisholm. If you'd like me to take back the gavel,
There you go.
I'd be happy to.
Because I do have some questions, too. So you can recognize me.
Okay, having been nominated back to the chair, is there anyone that would like to be recognized? Vice Chair Chisholm.
I think that it comes to everybody's surprise that I'm going to support the North Woburn School. I mean, we have all sat here and we all claim to have equity throughout the school system, and every kid should have the same opportunities. And they have sat and patiently waited their turn, and they've been very quiet about it, and I hope that more of them get excited about the fact that this could be happening. And I don't foresee the city council saying, yep, we can do the projects we're doing within the city, even like the fire station for the $30 million bond that's gone out, is also going to be on the taxpayers. And I think that we would be amiss if we thought that we could do, I think the middle school was $220 million.
212.
Okay, so 106, even if we got that back, the taxpayers are still on the rope for $106 million. Plus, if we want to do a middle school, I mean, 24.6 is what we got for the Harold Wyman, but if we did it ourselves, it was around $100 million. So we're asking taxpayers to take a bite for $200 and something million. I think this is a city that can't really afford that. I, for one, being by myself, I don't want to see my taxes go up $1,000 or $2,000 for it. And I support the schools 100%, and I would love to be able to look to the future like the fire station did, so it would be nice that we could build an elementary school looking towards the future with additional rooms and additional things, but we don't have that opportunity as a school if we go through MSBA. And it's going to be tough to do, but we have to make the public aware. And I think we can't vote this tonight so that we hear from people. We have to be able to listen to people on both fronts. And yes, if we do the middle schools, there's more students there. But then again, if we're going to get an influx of students from North Woburn, that will mean a bigger middle school also. So both ways, we're going to get inundated with children. If these building permits keep going out and come moving to Woburn, and we get flooded with 400 or 500 apartments, and they come with, I know, 0 children because nobody in an apartment has children. So, but I think that we need to be able to be smart about this and be, we need to worry about our taxpayers. Not everybody is making, $400,000 or $500,000 a year that stays in Woburn, and I think that we need to be cognizant of that and make sure that we listen to them and their concerns. But I just want to make sure that we take our time. We have till March, and we have to have the support of the City Council, so I think that we should even make sure that we involve them in this decision at this point and let them know that these are what we have the opportunity to do. Because if we do this and say, okay, we want the middle school, and it's going to cost us this, but we want an elementary school, I don't think that's going to fly. So I think that we're going to waste a lot of time doing that. So, I mean, I'll make a recommendation that the chair sends a letter to the City Council and to the mayor saying that these are our plans, and get feedback from them also. Because they're voted in from the same people that vote us in, but they hold the money. So we have to make sure that we're on the same page and we don't waste time having the superintendent do an SOI for a middle school that they're not going to support. So that's my soapbox for now. Go
May I
North Woburn.
inquire, Vice Chair Chisholm, what the letter would include the sort of
Yeah.
decision? Okay.
Yeah.
The options. Mr. Lipset, then Mr. Austin.
Just a quick, I guess, question or concern with, and I appreciate everything Mrs. Chisholm said. I mean, yes, we absolutely need to be cognizant of that. I am a taxpayer. My family does not make $400,000 or $500,000 a year. We are public school teachers. At the same time, I've said what I've said, and I think we're looking at a future investment versus a now investment. My one question for Mrs. Chisholm's plan to solicit feedback from the City Council, I'm a little concerned that is going to put them in a difficult position in terms of OML. If this is something that they are going to have to take up in City Council meetings down the line, I don't know that they could express their opinion to us in those responses.
Maybe not asking them for their opinion, but just letting them know this is what we're doing so that we can, I don't want them in the dark and all of a sudden get this and say, they're asking for $300 million from us.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I just don't want. I don't
Yeah.
want to have the committee,
Right.
believe that we're
And
gonna
we
get
do make
feedback
the
from
decision
council
to
and they can't
put
do
it forward. I just want them to be included.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Mr. Austin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to give my thoughts on this. I have always been in favor of a North Woburn school, primarily from the fact that I honor those that come before me, and if this is something that was spoken about in the past, I feel like we owe it to those forefathers that came before us to honor that. But at the same time, on the fence, just listening to Mr. Lipset with the idea of having to make a middle school and offsetting the costs and so forth. My challenge with a mega middle school is expecting 6th graders, 7th graders to now be part of a school that's 1,000 children, not even giving them the the opportunity to go to a school that's more smaller, that has a more intimate feel, rather than you're pretty much forcing them into a high school. And I think that comes with challenges, social, emotional challenges, that can come with behavioral issues. Anyone that works with middle school age students, they know that there's a huge challenge there. And so those are things to consider. And also, living in Woburn as long as I've lived, there has, from my knowledge, has always been 2 schools. And so where do we put the school? And then you got to deal with that. And it's like, oh, what about the school on this side? What about the school on that side? So, and I know I'm thinking multiple aspects as far as how do we move forward. Obviously, you can't please everyone. That's an old saying. And so when we consider if we're looking to build a school here on this site, then are we doing a disservice to the school, the Kennedy site, and vice versa? And so just, again, I really want to stick with the point of a mega middle school and just being mindful of it. We have these are young, impressionable students. 6th grade is young, 11 years old. And then there's already, this is the word on the street, there's already, if you will, beef between the 2 schools. I know, that's hearsay. Maybe not Facebook hearsay, but if you put them in one school, that can be opposition, can be problems. That I think maybe we're not considering. Maybe we're more considering their funding, but we're not considering the social aspect of our students. And also what happens to the teachers. If we're combining schools, do we lose educators? Do we lose a principal? Do we have 4 principals or 3? I don't know those questions, but I think those are ideas that we should consider moving forward with this decision. But I'm for more or less a North Woburn school. That would be my first vote. But if it's going to cause us to save more money, I can get the idea of a middle school. I get that concept, but I'm still on the fence about a mega middle school, considering the issues that can come with it. So.
The putting off the middle school is approximately, putting it off 10 years is approximately $100 million. Ms. Wetzel?
I was just going to say, similar to what Mr. Austin said about the middle schools, the mega middle school, and the effects it might have on our young students. But also, if you look at the survey data, I know Dr. Crowley pointed out it was a 1% difference between the support for North Woburn or the support for a middle school. But if you read the comments, a lot of the comments were not in favor of a combined middle school. And parents I've spoke with have expressed a lot of concern with that as well. So I think that's something the committee should keep in mind as we're talking about this. Also, I'd be interested to see what Mr. Burnham has, the additional information that Dr. Crowley spoke about. I think that would be helpful for the committee as well as for the community. And then a question about parking. Does MSBA, when you're building the parking for the school, is that covered through MSBA or not? I'm only specifically thinking the Harold Lyman that is little parking for the large school.
It's part of the project.
Yeah,
I think it does.
Yeah, it's part of the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
it doesn't cover auditoriums and field houses.
Yeah.
Okay.
That does cover parking and the ingoing and outgoing of traffic, because that's an educational need.
Makes sense.
There's a
Okay.
lot that it doesn't.
And then I guess my other thought, and listening to public comment and emails that we've received, and the plan the city had, the 20-year, I think it was 20-year plan, and to do all of our elementary schools, and the North Woburn hasn't been done yet. And I know the community's waited a long time, and I remember it was a few years ago at one of the North Woburn schools. It was so hot, pipes and things were dripping, and that's a safety hazard. And actually, one of the comments in here said, and I agree, we have fabulous teachers and we don't need a great building to accommodate those students, but I actually disagree with that. Especially kids who are on IEPs. I think specifically of my daughter who uses a white cane, my oldest daughter. If she were to come across water on the floor, she probably wouldn't know what that was. And we heard from our student here about the middle school being so hot because it's above the boiler room. But our elementary and middle schools, we don't even have air conditioning. Mm-hmm. And we here in Woburn, we turn our air on in like June, maybe May. And so inside those buildings, it's really hot. I'm in support of doing the North Woburn School first. I think they've waited a long time. Those learners are young, impressionable, and those families, it's time. However, I love the idea of doing the two simultaneously. I do think that presents a lot of challenges for our residents in Woburn, like Ms. Chisholm said, and it's our job to be good stewards of the public dollar. And in thinking that way, I do think it would be difficult to do both at the same time. I'm happy to look at it further. I know former Mayor Curran had a whole information and Chair Crowley shared that with us of how we can do that together. I'm really interested in that, but I want to make sure that we are also thinking of our community members as well as we're talking about that.
Mr. Lipset.
Just so I see the way the conversation is trending. I should point out, we're talking about the limitations of MSBA. That is true. It is possible. So, it's basically, my thinking is, what I don't want to do is vote in favor of a North Woburn elementary school, have that open, and have it be crowded from day one. It is possible to pay above the baseline for MSBA to create additional space. I want to throw that out there for the committee to think about as well. That's obviously something that the City Council would have to deliberate on as well, but should we wind up endorsing a North Woburn Elementary School first, I hope that we will consider adding a little bit of funding to expand some of the classroom space, create additional classrooms that will allow us some flexibility to grow into, so that we don't face a situation where we open into an already crowded school.
Mr. Lipset, we have to check on that because I'm not sure.
Oh, it absolutely. Tingsboro currently
They
right now
did.
is building a school
Okay.
that is far larger than they would normally get.
Because we also have the ECP too,
Yeah.
Yes.
which is not going to be funded.
Nope.
Right.
So we will be,
Is the ECP not funded, or is the ECP?
That-
Because I thought the ECP would be funded if it were attached to an
I
elementary
think
school.
that they will approve it as part of the schematic design. I think that our reimbursement will be lowered based on that.
All right, so this is
I
clearly
believe.
information that we're going to need
Yes.
as well. So clarification on what is possible through MSBA regarding ECP and expanding classroom space above and beyond the minimum. But I think we owe it to North Woburn, if that's the direction we're heading in, and we owe it to the ECP to look into those as well. It seems to me that it's not a great idea to vote on anything tonight. We need a lot more. We don't not more information. We need to hear from the community. But those are some things I'd like us to consider.
Is there any, Ms. Wetzel?
I just, you reminded me, Mr. Lipset, what other ways do we anticipate hearing from the community on this? What are our thoughts? Or do we have any ideas?
Well, I guess my question is, what would the committee direct the administration or me to do? The whole MSBA process has much community involvement. So really from day one, I don't know how much the MSBA requires, like an SOI type of thing. I'm happy we can republish the survey until our next meeting and get that circulated again. We can have, I'm open to ideas. I'll really do anything at the will of the committee.
I think the survey would be a great idea to republish, and then we can ask it to be shared out by building administrators.
Sure.
Yeah.
Crowley, would you take that on?
Yeah, I'm happy to push it.
And anything else that the committee could think of? Vice Chair Chisholm?
Maybe we could ask the principals at the Linscott and the Alta Vista to publish it in their newsletter, that this is something that we would like them to be involved in and come and express what they see on a daily basis and how they would like to have the school go forward. I mean, you can do it for the Joyce and the Kennedy also if you'd like, but I just think that it's important to hear from the parents that have waited so long.
Fair enough.
It might be worth also the current elementary parents who will be sending kids to the
Yep.
middle school, although I don't know if it will happen in their time.
Probably not.
But
If you're thinking of conceiving, you might have a school.
okay, we'll ask them then.
Okay, so I'm hearing that the committee would like, I'm sorry, Ms. Mulrennan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could, 166 people responded to the survey, kind of disappointed in that with the number of families and students that we have. And to Mrs. Chisholm's point also, that the idea of a North Woburn school doesn't affect the kids that are in the building right now because it takes so long for the process. I myself remember asking about an SOA 2 attempts back before the budget time, which fell on deaf ears. So the timing is November 1st. What are we doing here tonight? We're deliberating, we're talking about it, try to gather some more information. I see poor Mr. Nisco back there. She's probably sat through many of these same meetings and deliberations about which way we're going to go, how we're going to do this, what's the MSBA going to give us, can we get a little bit of MSBA money, and add a little bit with city and town money and do this and do that. So obviously, we need a little more expertise from, I appreciate Dr. Crowley's phone call to the MSBA, but I think, we heard tonight that North Woburn is lacking the mission statement. The school plan was to replace the elementaries. Middle schools, are they in dire straits? Sure they are. But I think to get the modernized equity school in North Woburn should be number one. And the MSBA will fund it. And again, to Mrs. Chisholm's point again, the funding mechanism, all this comes down to the taxpayers. And you're kind of like telling people, well, we'll give you some money or we won't. If you give you the money, then your taxes won't go up as much. If you don't take the money from the MSBA, your taxes will go up to build a school, whether it be a mega middle school or an elementary school. So I think the MSBA, with the restrictions and regulations that they do have behind us, it's difficult to work with the MSBA, but you get a new building and you get some reimbursement back to your community. So I think that's a key point in all of this. The timeline between us, again, tonight, it says in our minutes, we're going to deliberate and consider the initial processing of a statement of interest. I'm not ready for voting on any kind of motion tonight, other than a statement of interest for a new North Woburn school using MSBA funding. And the other matters could be brought up at a later time, but that's just my opinion. The survey came back, get some more information from parents. They can come to our meetings. We have public comment each time. And again, it will be the future. It's not currently the students at the Alta Vista and the Linscott that are in first grade or kindergarten. They won't see a new building. But the families in North Woburn, or the families who are going to have children going to a middle school, might want to come to our meetings, give us some suggestions, give us some thoughts, and again, allow the superintendent to gather some more information from the MSBA as to if we went with this one, what would the rate be if they know? If they went with this one, what would the rate be if they happen to know those answers? I know you didn't have any answers tonight, but I think, to Mr. Chisholm's point, again, you don't want to go too far ahead without the blessing of the city council members as well as the mayor's office to get the funding for whatever we decide to do. So, again, it's needed. All the projects are needed. ECP, the middle school, the North Woburn school. But I think prioritizing them would be the Alta Vista Linscott combination in North Woburn. So, hopefully, dealt with the direction later on as we go forward. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Moran. Okay, so I'm hearing that the committee, we're going to reissue the survey and make sure we target the 4 buildings. I'm sorry, Dr. Farley, go ahead.
No.
It looks like I'm cutting you off.
My intent is to send out a monthly newsletter, actually tomorrow. Okay. And so with that being said, I can re-include this survey. This newsletter goes to everybody, and so it wouldn't be targeted just to the elementary or just to the middle schools.
Okay.
I think to the point, because the elementary students will move up to the, so what I will do is reissue the survey and also the link to the DNISCO slide deck that was presented in July, so that people understand
What we want.
what we're talking about. Does that so far align with? And then the other thing that I'm hearing, and I know he's still here, I do think that a collaborative effort with the school department and the city is vital to making sure that this works well. And so I would like to be told or asked to set up some type of a meeting with City Hall, and whether it's the mayor and a city council member or something, to kind of be able to have a dialogue about what the city's appetite for these things are, and or invite them to come to a future meeting. I also would like to work with Mr. Burnham to tease out the survey, the MSBA survey that we referenced earlier, and use that data to support some of the decision-making. So that's...
Mr. Lipset?
Couple things. On the newsletter that you're sending out tomorrow, Might I recommend that the survey link be up at the top of it? Because I think the number of people who open it is different than the number of people who get to the bottom of it, oftentimes with any newsletter, anything newsletter. And second, I will make a motion to authorize the superintendent to set up a time to address the city council and mayor on the subject of new building proposals.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. So it sounds like what? Someone raised their hand? I'm sorry, Courtney, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
Assistant Superintendent Young,
Oh,
apologize.
good. I know. I am over here. I feel like I'm like, just a few questions. One, because I apologize. I should know this answer. The survey, did it go out in just Morse, or did it go out as a separate remind?
What was it?
The survey, did it go out like in newsletters or in this previous time, or only as a separate remind?
Only as a separate remind.
Oh, I'm surprised, because that typically works better than
Right.
the
Yeah.
newsletters,
Right.
the separate remind.
Mhm.
The only other question I had is, and again, I apologize because I should know the answer to this.
Okay.
I have not looked that much into the survey. I don't know if it's worth on the second round. I don't know how much you want to keep it consistent. If you shorten it, if you're looking to get more people, what might happen is people are opening it if it's long. And I'm saying that just in this
It's
space,
very
that if you
short.
wanted, if you, it's, again, I think
Yeah.
like, if you're really looking for just a few things, and then the only other thing that you might want to do is just link it to the actual website. And just put it as like you can even do it as like a pop-up.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it sounds like the superintendent's going to do outreach. We're going to possibly put it on our website, and we're going to reissue it with pointed, targeted responses at the 4
Brainstorm.
buildings.
Yep.
Okay, and then what does the committee need to inform your vote going forward? We will clarify on whether the committee could add its own funding to sort of increase the
Elementary?
the space issues. I'm not sure if that's a now question, but it's definitely a question that I think
Well,
we
that's,
should answer.
I think part of the question is also what is within our responsibility here and what is
Yeah.
within the city council's responsibility here. Because funding seems more like a city council question than
Yep.
us question.
Yes.
I just wanted the committee to consider the fact that we could potentially go above
Okay.
the bare minimum.
Right, but it's good for
what
us
Are
to
what are the
know.
MSBA limitations?
It's my understanding we are voting on the educational need.
Right.
And that's it. And of course, within that is, of course, our fiduciary responsibility and all of those things. And then the city council, their vote is whether or not the city can afford it in the next 2 years. Ms. Wetzel?
Could we also get additional clarification on the ECP, like if it's covered or if it's covered less, like what that covered less looks like?
Yeah.
Because that was an important piece too on the.
It is.
survey that I-
Yes.
and
Well, that's a
everything.
definite.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, those two things for
Yeah.
MSBA without question.
Is there anything else that the committee needs to have in front of them to help with this decision moving forward?
An extra $200 million.
Right.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. Right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think what we did tonight, which was very important, is that everyone got to speak on this because Vice Chair Chisholm and I were the only people that really got to have their say. So going forward, so I appreciate that. And if there's nothing else, I'll move on to the next agenda. But does anyone have any last words on this very important topic? No? Okay. All right, so we have 2 tabled policies that were up for vote, that were subject to a first reading, subject to more deliberation, and now they're on for a final vote. And those are policies KA, Community Relations, and AC, Harassment and Discrimination. They were originally brought forward to the committee by Mr. Austin. And we ran them by our legal counsel, who made some suggested changes to the policies. So we have we can deliberate what we have in front of us. Who would like to be heard? Mr. Austin?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure.
I jokingly say a buzzword this school semester has been transparency, and where I'm from, we like to say be real. So I'm gonna start by being real. Just kind of explain the reason that I wanted to bring these policies forward, and just kind of speak briefly. I don't want to speak too long, considering time the differences that the current policy, excuse me, has, and what that I'm looking to bring to the table. Many years ago, I always voted, but I never had my ear to the ground when it came down to all things politics, if you will, primarily because I never felt like I was heard. And I think a lot of folks that I come across, they feel like they're not being heard. And when my family was dealing with issues in 2022, and long story short, my wife reached out to Andrew Lipset, plug, and he gave us the opportunity to sit with him and being able to speak and share our heart. And I really felt that that's important. So with this community relation policy, the previous one, I won't read because it's in the folder. Those in the community can go and see. But it basically talks about how the schools they belong to the people who created them, consent, and so forth. But I want to bring attention to what I'm looking to bring in reference to the policy that I'm looking to amend. And so the difference in the current policy, what I'm looking to bring forward is, number 2, it talks about to encourage all citizens to express ideas, concerns, and/or questions about the schools to the school administration, to any appointed advisory body, and to the committee. So with that being said, a lot of times, even when I first decided to run, this meeting feels very private to me. And I think a lot of people that I've talked to, they have mentioned that a lot of people that is running for office, they do a lot of door knocking and asking questions and listening when it's time for election. But once that is passed, it's almost like the door is closed and no more interactions. And so with the idea that this policy is looking to, if you will, reach out to the community and saying, listen, we are here, your voice matters. What we stand on is that the schools belong to the people, and it's almost like, if you like it, put a ring on it. This is kind of like giving the stamp of approval that we agree and we standing behind what we say. And so continuing with the policy that I'm looking to bring, it also continues to say residents who are specifically qualified because of interest, training, or experience, or personal characteristics will be encouraged to assume an active role in advisory committees. And then it continues by saying the committee, and I want to be clear based off of something that Ms. Chisholm has said in the past, that we don't want to tie the school committee's hand by only giving all the power, if you will, to the community. We were elected, and I just heard Andrew Lipset said to make the hard decisions. So I believe that is the reason why we were elected, and I think it should fall on us, but at the same time, we, as I said before, I'm a man of the people, voted by people to speak. I can't speak for you if I don't hear you. And so if I don't hear you, how can I really speak for you? And so I really think that this policy is not just, that's the word, it's asking, but it's also giving, if you will, permission. It continues to say, the committee and staff will give particular attention to the advice they receive from individuals and community groups interested in the schools, particularly from those individuals and groups that they have invited to advise them regarding specific matters, but will ultimately use the best judgment in arriving at a decision on their own. And so I just wanted to quickly present that and just kind of share my heart, because I really think it's important that we not only utilize the community, for example, for the parental, the different councils, the advisory councils that we offer, but at the same time, let them know that, listen, your voice still matters, and not just for that set time all year round. And you can reach out to us, which I've realized a lot of members in the community have been doing so the last several months. And so, thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Any action with regards to the AC policy? KA policy. We do have, I will say, on the table, we have some legal advice that makes some slight changes to the language that Mr. Austin provided. For instance, instead of using the word experience, a personal characteristic will be considered to assume an active role in advisory committee. Attorney Joyce suggests that the word will be implies that the school in the district has to take advice from people, and so if we don't, then we would be violating our own policy, and we have certainly a lot of decisions that don't have community input. So that's why legally they suggested not necessarily that the whole policy needs to go, but really just make some changes around that language, for instance. But everyone has those changes in front of them. So do I have any action on that?
I would like to make a motion to adopt this policy.
The policy with the lawyer's changes to it, Mr. Austin?
Yes.
I have a motion on the table to adopt the policies with Attorney Joyce's edits.
That's both of those, Mr. Austin?
That's just for
Nope,
KA.
that's just KA.
Okay, I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Okay, any discussion on that motion?
On KA, did the attorneys say that we don't need that policy? Is that my understanding?
That is what he told me.
It's not a required policy because it's not required.
But we do currently have a KA.
Okay. So is this changing that KA?
It's,
Adding to it.
Mr. Austin suggested changes. We sent those changes to Mike Joyce. And Mike Joyce made changes on Mr. Austin's changes to make them what he believes to be acceptable.
Okay.
So I have a motion to adopt that policy as edited by Attorney Joyce.
I second
Ms.
that.
Wetzel?
Yes. One question I had just from something we talked about one of the last meetings. I know our lawyer made some changes, and at one point there was an email that some of the things contradicted and or negated other policies. Would that be still the case with KA or this one?
Not with KA.
With the changes, we're good. Okay. And then to what Mr. Austin said, I think it is important that everybody listening at home or here in this room understand that we want you here and we want to hear your voice and encourage you to come if you're able to or listen at home or find any of us in the community and have conversations, because I don't want this to feel like a club that you're not invited to, because you absolutely are. So thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. That motion passes. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. So KA, brought forward by Mr. Austin, as edited by our lawyer, is now in place. Thank you. Moving on to the second policy, which is AC. Mr. Austin?
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. In a similar fashion with the previous policy, I'd like to just, share my heart. Many of you know the reason I ran, but I won't speak on that. Recently, we had a student come before us speaking about issues that they are experiencing in school, such as harassment, and then not long after that, we had a grandmother mention some of the issues that they're dealing with at one of the schools. And so the idea to bring this policy forward was to add additional protection, if you will, or assistance for our students when it comes down to harassment. I won't speak too long on this, but I will say, based off of what was added, what I initially added from my policy coach was the definitions of discrimination, harassment, retaliation, and what was stated in return from our lawyer was that these definitions, let me just grab it so I can, because I want folks to understand what's taking place, is that strongly removal of these definitions. So these definitions that I initially wanted to put into the policy is not recommended because it states that they can vary between state and federal law. And as I've said in the past, that I'm a believer in taking advice from those that are professionals in certain fields. So those definitions will not be in the policy. What I would like to see added, and based off of what was sent that's in the public folder, is different than what is seen from the lawyer's proposed, which I sent to school committee members. You guys can see in your folder. I sent have something printed out for you guys. And it states, and this was, again, cleaned up and made changes by our attorney, and it states, where it is determined that this policy was violated by a student or employee, the district will act promptly to eliminate the conduct and will impose appropriate disciplinary and remedial, restorative, and/or corrective actions as necessary to prevent recurrent or any discriminatory behavior, including but not limited to harassment or retaliation, and to correct its discriminatory effects if appropriate. The remedies to a compliant should be designed to restore, preserve the compliance, equal access to the district's education program and/or activities. And I would like to make a motion to add that back to the ending of the policy, which was initially removed. But it was stated by the lawyer that this was his proposed. He proposed that this was okay for, and if you can see that in the policy that's there. And so I'm not sure why it was removed, but I'm asking, would like to make a motion to add that back to the ending of the policy.
Just to clarify, Mr. Austin, if I may.
Of course.
So you're saying this language had been in the policy previously, was removed, and the motion is to put it back into the policy, is that correct?
It wasn't in the policy initially. This is something that was added by myself, and what took place was, upon direction of the lawyer, of our lawyer, he took out some wording, and then he created it in a way that would be, I guess, more permissible.
I see. Okay.
And so that was taken out. If the committee looks into the proposal that's in the public folder, that part of what I just read is not present. And so I would like for it to be added back to the policy. But based off of his statement, he did not state that it wasn't, if I can find, let me find it so I can. I know I'm looking at a small screen, forgive me. So basically, the lawyer, Michael Joyce, said, yes, he would like to include some language to the effect, have proposed some language to address the concern. So the language that was initially proposed by my policy coach, myself, he had corrected the language. He felt that some language was not necessary, so he wanted to propose a language. Again, it was taken out, and I wanted to make a motion.
I got, Mr. Austin, I think I understand what you're saying. Miss Attorney Joyce wrote this blurb, and for whatever reason, in the version that is front of the committee, by clerical error, seems to have omitted this sentence.
I don't believe the attorney wrote this.
No, that wasn't written.
Yes, he didn't write it, but the original, it wasn't satisfactory. And what he did was he made some corrections to it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Exactly.
I have it in front of me.
And then he
says
proposed, exactly.
He says if the school committee would like to include some language to this effect, I have proposed some language to address these concerns. And he has this paragraph verbatim. Okay?
Was that?
Almost.
No.
That's what I have in front of me.
No, it's not exactly the same.
No.
Where it is determined that this policy was violated by a student or employee, the district will act promptly to eliminate the conduct and will oppose appropriate disciplinary, remedial, restorative, and/or corrective action as necessary to prevent recurrence of any discriminatory behavior.
Perhaps Mr. Austin can tell us what the differences are and why we would receive this separately than what we have in front of us.
I think, if I can clarify,
Of course, Ms. Lipton.
I think the document that you may have open, legal opinion policies, that is not the document that's in the public folder right now.
Correct.
What's in the public folder is
Yes.
the 3-page without commentary policy. The lawyers, so Mr. Joyce's changes and comments are on a separate file. That is the one that has this statement on it. The one in the public folder does not, if that makes sense.
Great. So we should table this so that we could be exposed to the public with the full text of the policy. Do I have a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Any discussion on that motion?
I'll second the motion, I guess, for discussion purposes. So just to clarify exactly what you're after, Mr. Chairman. So you'll table it again?
Yes.
Okay.
Because what we posted apparently was missing a paragraph. Correct?
Missing this, we understand
Yes.
that to be missing.
Yes.
So you're going to table this, and
So that everyone can read it in full.
then it'll be
View.
tabled for the next policy
10th.
meeting? or-
The 10th.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. So this will have to be tabled again so that, and we will have a clean version that includes
The whole mix.
the whole thing, so that we're not trying to do this piece by piece.
So we can
I'm sorry. Ms.
ignore
Blair?
this email, right? And it go by what's on in the policy?
Yeah, this will be incorporated into
Yes.
when we get to
Just, the email had a typo, I just didn't want to go with that one if this one is the correct one.
Okay. We're going to take a short recess at this juncture, I think, and stretch our legs.
I would like to make a motion that we take a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're in recess.
Like the rest of them.
favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Me? Just kidding. So we are now back to the regular order of business, and the next item on our agenda is the DESI District Review based on their visit to Woburn Public Schools, and Dr. Crowley will be presenting.
Thank you. So the committee, I did send this to you over the weekend, so you've seen it. I'm going to go through it publicly for the first time. The entire district review is on the DESI website, so if people would like to see the entire thing, it is public and available. District reviews are legally required. They come approximately every 6 years, and so last year they do approximately 20 districts per year, and it's in conjunction with the American Institute for Research, AIR, and so the process, they request a series of documents from us in advance of their meeting. They come and visit, and then they produce a report. And again, I'm boiling this down for the sake of brevity, but happy to answer any questions. When they come for their visit, they spoke to some people in this room. They speak to parents, they speak to teachers, they speak to city officials, and they boiled down their findings into a report. What we did was took the report and created this slide deck. And the district standards and indicators, there are 6 that make up the report: leadership and governance, curriculum instruction, assessment, human resource and professional development, student support, and financial and asset management. Our report, again, available publicly, includes all 6 standards. Just as a process overview, I received an email from DESI asking or telling that they were going to come and do the district review. I indicated that we were in the midst of a redistricting process and asked for an extension, and they said, we're coming. So with that being said, we prepared. I worked closely, as you can imagine, with Ms. Young, who was instrumental in this process, working with the many different stakeholder groups and educator groups. The summer, not this past summer, the summer before, we then participated in a series of virtual meetings with AIR and DESI trainings to get ready for this process. They were on site. They actually split their visit because the high school had mid-year exams, so they came at a different time, but they were on site largely in January for 3 days. The turnaround, we received their report in June, that the final report was ready, and it was published, as I keep saying, on the DESI website. Just as a side, we had hoped to get the report sooner than June, so we could potentially incorporate any of the findings into the budget season. But that being said, June was when we got the report. So then what we did was took it and broke it down more specifically for our leadership team and action steps to govern what we do this year. And there's a lot of words on these slides. I will go through each of the indicators. Leadership and governance is one of the indicators. What it does is gives you, what we tried to do was give you the strength, that was the finding, but also areas for growth. The areas for growth you're going to see incorporated into the updated strategic plan, and you'll see in my superintendent goals. And so there's action steps as a result of the areas for growth. And so the leadership and governance, again, strengths and areas for growth here. What the next slide does is links the recommendations and priority areas directly to our strategic plan. So, for example, the district should continue working with its teachers association and with school leaders to identify and address roadblocks to establish a professional culture in which staff feel supported and valued by district leaders and building administrators. And you see how it says 1B 2, 1B7, 2F3. That is linked directly to our updated strategic plan. So if people wanted to see where it exists, that's what those letters and numbers are pointing you towards. And so again, to try to be as specific and transparent as possible with you and with everybody relative to how we took this seriously and addressed the concerns and areas for growth that were highlighted by Desi. Curriculum and instruction, again, my co-pilot, Ms. Young.
And I was sitting back, going back up. So the curriculum instruction, and again, there's kind of the next two slides. Through the curriculum and data from the subcommittee, I started this year going over what our department goals were, what my goals were, the objectives, and all of those were aligned. And so I say that as in, I'll kind of go over it quickly here, but we went into depth in our first meeting, and we'll continue to go through it over the course of the year. One of the things that was helpful, and again, I tend to find that anything in which we can have a comprehensive view, in which we have support in terms of all these different stakeholder groups, and kind of looking at all of the different documents that we have, going through that process alone, just like the reflective process of getting everything, you start to be able to see also trends within your own self with the reflection, recognizing before they put it on paper, when they're asking for something, and then you're looking at the rubric, kind of recognizing this is an area that obviously is going to come back. What was helpful about it is that while we got it in June, as a curriculum department, and kind of we were able to start to recognize some of the things that we should already start to do. And so a lot of the kind of the recommendations that are within here are things that we kind of immediately started to implement and look at last year. One of the big and kind of the overarching piece was that we had done a lot of work in terms of defining kind of good instruction and defining an instructional priority, but what was very clear is that it was kind of understood in pockets and not understood in kind of by everybody, universally top down. And so the biggest thing that we've looked at this year and related to kind of this bucket has been establishing the systems and structures to make sure that we have that consistent piece. And again, we've talked a lot about the instructional leadership teams and all of those pieces. And so really what under curriculum instruction is around ensuring that we're all implementing the same framework, around processes for selecting and implementing materials, which again, we started that process at the end of last year and are just continuing that work this year. And then just kind of another to note, a big piece of this has been around engaging families in meaningful discussions about students, but also ways in which we are providing more communication around the work that we are doing. And so with that, we were just one of the things that we put into the strategic plan that we just had done last night was one of our first kind of caregiver information sessions virtually. Ms. Gillis in my department did it last night, and we had about 20 families, and then we had some requests for some further ones to have, and so we're looking forward to those. So really what we're looking at here is just around ways that we can be getting better systems and structures, as well as incorporating more within the community. So the next slide just goes over, sorry, I already talked about that one. The next slide just goes over a piece of this, and Dr. Crowley alluded to it, is that they do come on site not only for focus groups, but they actually come on site and they do observations of all of our classrooms using a standardized tool. And so they went to all 10 of our buildings, and I can't speak for, I believe in my conversation that they pretty much go into almost every single one. It's more likely that you'll see them or not than not, and they give us kind of this data in terms of things that are that they see as kind of overall strengths and areas for growth. And really what we're looking at is just around our strengths was there was really, really high scores and related to our positive climate, relationships connected around the productivity for staff, around management of rooms, around students being engaged and focused on task, and really areas for growth is looking at this idea of higher order thinking, incorporating more in terms of student voice, and feedback for students. And one of the things, again, that you'll see throughout the strategic plan has been an emphasis on goal setting with students, K through 12, an emphasis on increasing students in the goal setting process, and then also really around the emphasis on how we are ensuring that we're teaching grade level standards to all students to ensure that all students have access to high order thinking. And so the next slide is just looking at assessment. And again, I think this was a big strength, especially recognizing at the elementary level, which is one of the reasons why we've worked so hard to build up the structure from the elementary, and we're building in through the middle school, is replicating things that are going well. And then the thing here that we'll talk for areas of growth is around integrating academic and non-academic data, And so we've been partnering and working a lot with the Student Services Department on ways that we can be ensuring that we have data that's not only just the academic side, but what are also in terms of student work habits and things along those lines. The last one on here that I'll just note is related to middle high school level in terms of common grading systems, student-friendly rubrics, and as we know, the competency determination has changed at the high school, which has prompted kind of a new working group, and that working group will, in turn morph into looking really at this idea related to grading systems now that the competency determination of the high school has shifted. So again, these are all things that we are working towards. I talk about them regularly through our subcommittee, and I'm happy to dive deeper into any of them there, or of course, answer any questions. Back to you.
Another one of the standards was human resource professional development. I would tell you that it says the strength is that we have the necessary staff to fulfill human resource responsibility. I would say that we do, but we're thin. And so with that being said, an area for growth there was maintaining formal and accessible policies, and I think even tonight's conversation reinforces some of that need to make sure that we are taking care of our people. And so our staffing, our hiring process is clearly defined. The area for growth is really trying to establish effective strategies to recruit diverse educators. And so you'll see this, or I'll reference this as one of my goals. One of the things that we are cognizant of are the teachers in the classrooms do not necessarily reflect the students in the classrooms. This is has been an ongoing conversation since I've come to Woburn. Ron Walker, former St. John's Baptist Church, he and I used to collaborate and try to brainstorm ideas surrounding this. But we are going to actively pursue hiring more diverse staff, teachers. So, and I'm differentiating because a lot of our staff, non-teaching staff, there is more diversity in the non-teaching staff than the teaching staff. So the other thing relative to professional learning is consistently providing educators with informal feedback. We had a leadership meeting this afternoon, and it was everybody in the district that is an evaluator, and one of the conversations was around providing feedback. And people are doing a great job. That's feedback. People have room to improve. That's also feedback. And so becoming consistent with how we're doing that matters. So again, incorporating this feedback, DESE feedback, into our own improvement. Relative to student support, areas for growth, safe and supportive school climate and culture. Consistent is the word that comes up quite a bit relative to the safe and supportive schools. Clear and consistent school-wide behavior support systems. So we do have different systems now in place at the schools, but we also need to make sure that the standards and expectations are similar throughout the district relative to elementary, middle, and high school. The family and community partnerships, we are very fortunate to have our multilingual department. Rania Caldwell does a great job with the ML department, and our FACE department with Nellie. We are actively engaged in the community. One of the areas of feedback was consistent communication with families. And so with that being said, part of my intent, and I said it earlier, I'm sending out a newsletter monthly to update families relative to what is occurring in the Woburn Public Schools. And lastly, the MTSS, developing a clear and consistent definition of Tier 3 supports. And so we are actively engaged in that process. It's a combination between Ms. Young and Dr. Ryan, and actually Dr. Gillis, Abby, is really doing a lot of work on this. The financial and asset management, again, it appears like we are in a strong position. And in Woburn, I think we are. And so I'm very grateful to the city for their investment in the school department. And so with that being said, one of their areas for growth was developing a formal written agreement that would describe a process and timeline, incorporating the school committee's budgeting process into the municipality's budgeting process. That's their recommendation. And so, and they're saying this because we don't have a written timeline. So what we have is, well, it's January, we should start.
Wait and see.
And so I thought that was good for us to reflect on. And so immediate opportunities. So what we did over the summer was to update the strategic plan, which I will go to shortly, to focus in on the key recommendations. We added a year to the strategic plan. So the current year that we're in was the fourth year added to the strategic plan adopted in 2022. The expectation is that we will try to convene stakeholder groups after January to look at a future strategic plan and any updates that we need to make to prioritize moving forward.
All right. I know we're all digesting this information, but if anyone has any immediate questions, I'll recognize a member. If they have questions for Dr. Crowley.
I have one on the,
Vice Chair Chisholm, yes?
on the budget. Is there anything that we could compare another city, not a town, or a city on their timeline that we could copy and paste in our life?
I'll find out, because I think that, again, cities are different than towns. And so let me track that down.
Yeah, just because we'd like to push it forward, but
Right.
I don't know how we do that.
No need to start from scratch.
Right.
Right.
Well, Vice Chair Chisholm,
I'm a good chair.
since you are finance,
Yeah.
and that's our only piece of action for the school committee,
Yeah.
do you want to sort of
Take that baby on?
oversee that in
Sure.
finance?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Would
thank
love
you.
to.
Thank you, Vice Chair Chisholm. Mr. Lipset?
I guess I'd just note, I think the piece that comes up pretty regularly, and Ms. Young mentioned this, regarding curriculum, is communication, engaging families. That's something that matches with some of the stuff we were discussing towards the end of last year. So I just wanted to sort of put a pin on that. I think what I've seen so far this school year, I have seen growth in that area already. I think communication has been more regular, more consistent. I think some of the work that Ms. Young has been doing in the curriculum department has been outstanding in terms of really engaging families, a new curriculum website, family forums. So that's the kind of thing that I think is really beneficial, and I would love to see continue and grow more. And I'm already seeing it this year, so I want to give kudos there. But clearly, that's a widely held response.
I would say too, at the end of last night's session, we asked families or anyone that if they had anything that they recommended that we continue on, and I received an email this morning from a parent who suggested something that was great for us to run, and I say it, and again, in terms of soliciting feedback, it's hard to get it, but if there are any suggestions in terms of that would be helpful, we're happy to kind of take the suggestions on. We're also just trying to think of what are the things people are looking for. We don't want to just run something to run something. We want to run something that people are looking for. Again, the suggestion I had this morning was related to doing a similar forum that we did last night around the Reveal Math program, which I thought was great. So we're going to look to get that set up for the beginning of December. But again, we're happy to do the things. We just don't always know the things. So.
Thank you, Mr. Lipset. Any, Mr. Mulrennan?
Thank you, Manager. If I could, great presentation, Dr. Crowley. I'm looking at Human Resources and Professional Development page under Professional Learning, where the Woburn provides novice educators with the resources to be successful through the Woburn Mentor Program. I know this is a revised version of the Mentor Program.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm sure we're going to hear about it later on, but I just I'm looking forward to see how successful the new Mentor Program comes out in the long run.
So it's a great question. I actually, I don't have it queued up to talk to directly tonight, but what I can tell you is that it's been a joint effort and it was revised over the summer, and we kicked it off the opening day with the staff, and so it's probably worth having it as an agenda item at a future meeting, so that it can be celebrated.
I think it would be great. I think it's
Right.
it was good to wait a little bit to have some of the new things that we've done to happen this fall. But Kathy from our department, the curriculum department, as well as the mentor coordinators, Kim, Kara, and Colleen.
I mean, there's other things in here as well. There's other things in here as well, but that kind of just jumped out, knowing that, it was kind of just laying on the wayside, and now it's a new version of it, so we're happy to look forward to seeing some more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be great to have them come in.
Yeah, it would be.
Yep.
So, yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
Yes,
Ms. Wetzel.
I'm wondering, as I know everything's linked with our strategic plan here, but once we get the DESI report and now we're implementing some of the changes that they suggested, and we're seeing a lot of that already, which I think is fabulous, how else do we continue to monitor the report and the changes? I guess, how does that work? Is there something that the school committee can do, or is it just something that administration brings forward to us as maybe they see positive changes that were noted in the DESI report?
Yeah, so I'll answer it the way that I'm thinking about it. As part of the strategic plan, there's action items and that's where it's linked.
Yep.
One of the things that we've done in the past as an administrative team is take the action item and color code it, red, green, yellow, like progress report, if you will. And so happy to do that and then share back to the committee where we are on the action items, if that would be helpful.
I think that'd be great. I think it would be good for the community too, so they can see what's going on, and after they read the report or read any of the material presented tonight.
Yeah.
So.
The only qualifier is I think either late spring or even in September, there needs time to implement a lot of some of these things. So a lot of things will be in progress that not yet totally done, if you will. Does that make
100%,
sense?
Yeah. You can't fix everything overnight, right, or what have you. So totally understand, but I appreciate that.
Sure.
This is also a space where I think that the subcommittees are helpful to go into more detail. So again, we started for the curriculum end that we went through, because a lot of it is related within my department, is we went through kind of specific to curriculum development, and I can do kind of more comprehensive overview of it there too. And I'm sure that Dr. Ryan can do that with the things related to hers in her subcommittee. Again, I think that having a visual is great, but I also think there's a lot of context to a lot of these things, and not all of them have gone to the top of we're tackling the top of the list first. So that's helpful.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Young. Anything else? So I guess my question is, we get this district review from DESI, and then it's integrated. Are we going to see this appear, these rooms, this areas for growth appear in the budget as well? So are there going to be pieces of the budget that are in here as well when we think about budget planning?
Maybe.
I know, it's early.
We need a budget timeline.
Right.
There you go.
Got it, yeah.
Step one.
Yeah, but again, if going back to what they're finding, we're in a healthy position.
Right.
And I mean, I did allude to, they say the human resources is we are fully staffed with one person, and
Right.
so it's, there's a challenge when one person is on vacation or we have a lot of one-person places, and so that may be an area that you'll see
And
staffing requests.
For the district review, we also going to see it echoed in your goals as well as the school improvement plans?
Yes.
So pieces of this, so I see where they have places to grow. We're going to see that the principals are being directed to kind of respond to this, so that it's not just central office doing things, it's the entire district all working at the same time towards these goals.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think that the overall, and I just, is, with all of it is that I look as like the biggest picture to take away was that we were rowing in a lot of great directions, but not necessarily one direction.
Right.
And so, what I feel like when we're talking about like early successes of the year, has been really looking at like all these different places in which we've had these different pieces of feedback, and how have we synthesized them to make sure that it's like, that they're all kind of working towards the same end. And I know Dr. Crowder talked about it with his goals, but I think kind of to your question, that like, I don't look at them as like separate things anymore. Like, we have made sure that they kind of are all the same thing, right? So like, the feedback that you have from the DESE district review is also what is embedded in the strategic plan. The instructional priority for the district meets everything that's in the strategic plan and in DESE's feedback. Everything that's in a school improvement plan is reflected onto those things, right? Like, and I think of it as almost like we've been in this space where we've been thinking of the separate entities. I think kind of what is like the shift in mindset is like, there really are one driving force. And what's positive is that like they all are saying the same thing. And so like it gives us a really clear focus. And I think that alignment part alone is what feels good.
Yeah.
But it's also that like it's all rowing in one direction. All connected. I'd love to show people how they're all connected, but still I can promise they are.
Like, for instance, you take, the area for growth, developing clear and consistent definition of Tier 3 supports. That is district-wide, and that is really focusing on that piece of the Tier 3, which is, I believe, the students that aren't quite meeting the expectations in Tier 1, right? So they're students that need sort of an extra layer of
So
support.
what that indicator meant, actually, so like if you read the report, was that when in focus groups, there would be questions related to Tier 3 instruction. There were inconsistent responses on that definition from educators and administrators. So it's not that it was not as much about the actual like implementation of Tier 3, it was how individuals were defining it. So really the action item is around just clarifying like what does Tier 3 mean versus Tier 2 and Tier 1. So it was really more of like again, that's where I keep going, like it's about consistency and understanding more than like the things that we were doing.
So everyone in the district is sharing the same vernacular, that we're all looking at the elephant and seeing an elephant.
Yes. And if you read it, you can see that when you go, it helps to read the quotes for you to see kind of like, there's just a lot of like misconceptions when asked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Is there anything else? Okay, now we're going to take a look at the superintendent's goals.
So, just very quickly, the strategic plan is on the agenda.
I'm sorry.
And so I just wanted to go, we don't need to spend,
I apologize, that's the problem.
no,
We're all one.
it is all tied together.
Yeah.
So this one goes to that one, that one
Yeah,
goes to
so
that
you don't, respectfully, there's a reason, a method to the madness, if you will. With that being said, the strategic plan, as I said, was approved in 2022 and is on our website. After tonight, my hope is to have this updated strategic plan put there as well. It is on our website already?
So I just rename it every year. I've never changed the link.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't, it's not a new one. I just renamed it. Should be, no.
All right. Well, we'll get it right tomorrow morning. So, this is not new information to any of you. Looking back at the stakeholder group, there's some familiar names on this, participants from different people that were helpful in creating our strategic plan. And really what we've determined the 3 priorities to be, incorporate routine collaboration time into the day to promote horizontal and vertical planning, instructional practice, and data analysis, and establish consistency with the application of deeper learning instructional framework. So that's priority area 1. Priority area 2 is the tiered system of supports that we just were alluding to. And priority area 3, build systems and structures to support the deeper learning that happens in each of our schools. And so, again, strategic planning, it's actually, it's an interesting process, but because not everything can be a priority, and that's that's the challenge. And so it was helpful to use the DESI feedback this year. And so what we did, like I said, was using the DESI feedback, took the feedback, added year 4 here, and then created the bullet points to reflect the areas for growth. And so we did that for each of the 3 targeted areas. If that makes sense to the committee, I don't want to belabor it, but I just want to make sure that people understand what we did and why we did it. And again, it's year 4 of a 3-year strategic plan, but in this spring, we need to relook at it and either add to year 5 or create a different plan. So, again, the strategic plan exists. Ms. Wetzel, this is what I was alluding to earlier, the action plans at the bottom. So if you click on the link, it will bring you to, or it should bring you to, there it is, our action plans and all of the things that we say we're going to do. And this is what I was saying, we could ostensibly color code to provide updates for you, in addition to, as Ms. Young alluded, use subcommittees to provide context. So so each of the initiatives have the action plans attached, and all of this is on our strategic plan and will be on our website.
Thank you, Dr. Crowley. Any questions on the strategic plan? Okay. So now we move to Dr. Crowley's goals.
Okay. So, as you know, one of your responsibilities is to approve my goals and then evaluate me. And I did try to listen last spring to some of the feedback provided and incorporate those into the goals, as well as the strategic plan and updated DESI review. The thing that I have here is it's a 2-year process for me. And so, Ms. Wetzel, you had asked earlier about updates. One of the things that I would say relative to measuring some of these goals, so one of my goals is a statement of intent. So you'll know when that happens, but there'll be other goals that I won't be able to measure or show you until either June or September, once we have student data to support. So I just want to kind of give that context as I go through these. This is on purpose. So we took the DESI feedback, updated our strategic plan, and I created my goals using this. This is what you were alluding to earlier, Ms. Crowley. And we are all on the same bus. That's the intent. I think it's Ms. Boge in the curriculum department. This bus does say Woburn Public Schools on it, believe it or not. So
we want our own busing?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
looks like it might be an electric bus, too.
Yeah. But again, so one of the things that you'll see, though, and spoiler alert, when we look at school improvement plans, you'll see district review, Woburn strategic plan, school improvement goals, and it's all aligned. So, again, the strategic plan drove a lot of the goals. The 3 initiatives, instructional design, tiered supports, and systems and structures. And I am repeating, if I read it, I'm repeating what we've just gone through, but I just want you to know how and why I arrived at the priority areas that I did. As a reminder, there is a DESI rubric for all educators, so teachers, building leaders, and myself, and so that's publicly facing. That's linked here. My responsibility is to create a district goal, a student learning goal, and professional practice goal. And so That's what I did. Again, just because I don't think I could say it enough,
Yeah.
these are the 3 priority areas: instructional design, tiered systems of support, and systems and structures. So this is, overall, everything that happens in the Woburn Public Schools every day is my responsibility. There are things that happen in the school that aren't on the plan, obviously, but by and large, what we're trying to do is focus what we are spending our time and energy on. The district goal aligned to Initiative 3, Systems and Structures, and this is where I will spend a little time. They're all I will statements. I will work with elected officials to create an SOI that we talked about earlier tonight to submit to the MSBA. So that is a goal, or part of the goal. And again, you will know that it's complete in real time. I will work with various stakeholders to continue our work on safety updates, upgrades, and enhancements to school facilities. I say that because school safety is a priority. I am part of an active task force now, citywide school security task force. The mayor has convened. I'm working as co-chair with Deputy John Walsh. He's the new deputy chief. And so there is a working group, an active working group on school safety. And so we've done a lot of things over the past couple of years relative to school safety, but we need to continue making this a priority. And so one of the things coming up on Election Day is, for the 3rd year in a row, we're doing I Love You Guys, is our, in the morning anyway, for staff, and highlighting and making sure that our schools are safe and people know what to do in the event of an emergency. Relative to the communication that you alluded to earlier, Andrew, one of the things that I think the principals have done really well is when we go into a hold or we go into, they communicate out to parents. Sometimes we see or hear there's sirens at a school, like what's going on, and it could just be a medical emergency. But again, communicating in real time to our families has been helpful. So this next bullet point was the conversation we had earlier: collaborate with elected officials on financial alignment between school and municipal budgets. So whether that's developing a timeline, as we talked through. One of my monthly meetings is WooStat, which is really the opportunity for the school department to go down to City Hall and speak about our operating budget specifically, and that happens the 3rd Wednesday, I think, of every month. And again, opportunity to be transparent with City Hall. One of the things that I think we need to be mindful of is our workflow. We have relatively new finance director, new to Woburn, human resource director, new to Woburn, technology director. New to his position, not new to Woburn, is Mr. Burnham, facilities director. And so they are working really hard, but the question is, are they working smart? And like, what can we do to help support them to support our staff? And so we are constantly looking to review the workflow. So the next bullet point speaks to what I alluded to earlier. We need to actively seek to strengthen the recruitment of a diverse, high-quality staff that reflect what our kids look like. And so one of the things that I've set in motion is with Mr. Wyman, and we are going to create a Human Capital Equity and Belonging Committee. And so he and I will co-chair this committee to look at ways to actively recruit. Part of what I've talked through in the past is the timeline of when our budget passes, but we do know, for example, retirements occur. And so if we know that people are retiring and we know that the position is needed, one of the things that I would like to do is begin posting positions sooner, because I think that the applicant pool is deeper. April is the most common month, and if we can post, like I said, if we know people are retiring, and I'll give a real example. Mr. Nelson is retiring at the end of this year. We know that. So our intent is to post that position mid-January and go through the process then. Some staff that we know are going to retire, again, if we know that we need that specific position, I would like to start posting things sooner rather than later. We are a member of the Mass Partnership for Diversity in Education. They are a helpful resource, and they do have job fairs. We attend. One of the things we've done in the past, and this is pre-COVID, but we went to a job fair in Cambridge at Ringen Latin School, and this was when Judy O'Neill was the HR director. We spent a Saturday with multiple other school districts recruiting. And so part of what the problem for us has been is we say anticipated openings, and people are saying we have openings. And so I think that, yeah, so that's been feedback that is a factor, but I think we need to continue to explore how best to do this. So again, Mr. Wyman and I will be working together with other educators to strategize around this issue, and hopefully will pay dividends. In the past, the other thing I would say is we had a grant to pay for paraprofessionals to go to William James College to become educators and to try to encourage people to go that route. We just didn't have many takers do it. And so we're trying to be creative in how we're thinking through this issue. And I actually have a meeting scheduled Friday with Middlesex League superintendents, and this is on the agenda item for all of us. And so it's not it's not just us, but we can always try to be the best in the Middlesex League, right? So that's that. So a student learning goal, one of the things that we are primarily here for is our kids and students and our learning. So Courtney alluded to it. My key actions, the next slide is the instructional priority initiative, and it will get more into detail about what that means and looks like. But this is something that all educators are aware of, all building and leadership team members are aware of, and so really the way that I think about it is, and I put in parentheses so I didn't forget, Fridays. When we walk through buildings and we walk into classes, one of the things that we should be able to see is what are kids learning. Kids should be able to tell us what they're learning, why they're learning it, and it shouldn't be like pockets of kids that know things. We want to make it universal. And so it's nice to walk in and disrupt classes, but one of the things that we, as leaders, are focused on is that. And so the next, ensure that all of the students, the school improvement plans are aligned. Next school committee meeting, I think we're going to have some of the principals come and do their school improvement planning with you, for you, so you'll see that. We use a lot of acronyms in education, I understand that, so we've created instructional leadership teams at each school, and so those are focus groups that involve teachers in decision-making using data at their schools. And so it's not just the principal saying we're going to do X, Y, or Z, it's the principal and people in the building coming together in a structured way, monthly or bi-monthly, to review data and make decisions. So that is ongoing. We have, we call them pod walkthroughs, and so really what that is, we have approximately 45 members of the leadership team, and we're broken into pods, different small groups, and it's by design. It's not just the elementary people are together, it's a mix of all different educators. And so we have scheduled walkthroughs, and we had a meeting today. We sat in our pod. My pod is composed of Ed McGuire, Abby Gillis, Lisa Murphy, Tony Wyman, Rob Nickerson. He had an emergency, so he had to leave for a little while.
Forget him.
Thank you. Yeah, right. And then what happens is, and Ed, I was sitting. Ed is like the elementary schools. Because I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
And so, and Lisa Murphy, who's the director of our Early Childhood Center, that goes to the high school, she's like, I don't know how they do it, but it's really kind of nice to have everybody seeing how complicated everyone's job is, and then having conversations and debriefing all of what you see. Because, as Ed said, he walks in and he sees what he sees, and then he's talking to, say, Abby afterwards, and she's like, yeah, did you see the pictures behind the teacher's desk that helped to, and he's like, no, I didn't, so it's really helpful. And so that's been going well. And the, we did have a naming contest for, like, whose pod could be the coolest name, but I would.
Who won?
Mine.
Oh,
Who judged you?
yeah, who decided the fact?
But that was in August. One of the things that I will seek to do, and again, today's meeting was evidence of this, our evaluation, again, for consistency, we want to make sure that teachers are getting feedback consistently at each building, and that it's not, if you're at one building, you get it a certain way, and if you're at another, you're getting it another way. And so last year, all of the administrative team took a class through the Research for Better Teaching. It's the Skillful Teacher. And so it was a full year of instruction, of professional development, and very, very powerful. And I think one of the things that came out of it, and you'll hear the phrase worthy objectives, like what is the objective of the lesson. And so it really was valuable professional development. I will use data to inform decision making. Now, what does that mean? I mean, there's MCAS data, there's DIBELS data, there's surveys, there's STAR data, there's any number of data points, but one of the things, and even the building survey, like, I think it's important that we ask people, get feedback, and use the results to drive decisions and not make decisions unilaterally or without any opportunity to look at various data points. We talked earlier, define and communicate the tiered systems of supports. And so again, Courtney said it earlier, the feedback was people knew what tiered systems meant, but the definition was not quite the same. And so it's important that we're all speaking similar language. Again, lastly, establish consistent, equitable, and developmentally appropriate behavior systems. We have Responsive Classroom going. It's great. For those of you that have been to a morning meeting in our classrooms, we actually use the chime at our meeting today. It's for adults, it works really well too. If you hit the chime and people know what to do. We need to continue our restorative justice practices, and collaborative problem solving is a protocol that we've had training in. And again, to try to mitigate against escalating behaviors. So we have great kids who need us to be consistent, and we need them to be in school. This is the instructional priority that I alluded to earlier. This will be part of the school improvement plan, so you're going to see this. But our instructional priority in every pre-K to 12 classroom, students learn with high-quality materials and proven strategies so they can meet grade level standards. So it's certainly seems obvious, but it really, we want to make sure that our kids are getting what they need and that we are teaching them at the level at which they are. And so, and you can see the element, what it is and why it matters. And so the worthy learning objectives is the element. It's posted and shared throughout a lesson, so it's obvious what is happening. It's in student-friendly language so that, kids understand. And it gives students a clear purpose so that on Fridays, if we were to walk in, we might be able to ask and be able to see. And so I'm not going to read through all of this, but again, this is the instructional priority, and it is really the backbone of what we do each and every day. And as a professional practice goal, key actions, I will attend local, state, national conferences and meetings to maintain my knowledge with regard to A, school safety and emergency preparedness, and B, district administration and leadership. Just as an example, the Massachusetts Partnership for Youth is hosting a safety summit. I think it's next week, so I'm planning to go to that. The state conference that Mr. Morenin will be at, I'll be there too.
Oh, boy.
So, national conferences, I have gone to last year I was selected into a group called Leading Now. I was in cohort 15, if you remember this, but so I'm still part of that cohort. But there is a national, AASA is the National Association for School Superintendents. They have webinars and conferences that I will plan to attend. The school safety and emergency preparedness, that's on purpose. I have that there because as important as teaching and learning is and everything else, I just feel like we are living in an era where we need to make sure that everyone in our buildings is safe. And so to the extent that we can learn from other places and practices, I really just believe that it's vital because we owe it to everybody to make sure that schools are safe places. Another key action is, and we talked about this a little earlier, increased communication with stakeholders in the Woburn Public Schools and the Woburn community. And so the monthly newsletter that I will be sending out, I'm sending communication to you regularly in the city. The open house that we did, again, you don't know if you don't try, and so we will continue to try ways to engage community and to learn about the Woburn Public Schools. I'm really proud of what we do here, and I think in the past I've relied on the schools to communicate with families because I really do think that that's what the parents want to hear. But if there are things, as we said earlier, that people would like, we're happy to do any and all of it. And so one of the things here is an Instagram. We will have an active Woburn Public Schools Instagram up and running, and that'll be part of tomorrow's information. So again, we're trying to get the good word out, if you will. And so with that being said, I'm open to any questions or feedback.
All right, thank you, Dr. Crowley. I know the committee is synthesizing the information, but does anyone have any immediate questions? Mr. Mulrennan?
More of a comment, actually, Madam Chair, if I could, to Dr. Crowley's presentation of the three elements tonight. Will they be going on the website together as one, or tonight's meeting, or how do you want to present those to the people that didn't come to the meeting and didn't get the handouts tonight? How can they find this information over the weekend?
So everything that I presented tonight will be up on the website.
Okay. Listed as such, public strategic plan, superintendent's goals, DESI's report. So it'll all be tabbed in there. I'm just trying to get, like you said earlier, the easy find. Where is it, You want to go to the supermarket, you want to find apples, well, I'm not going to go down the fish aisle, I got to find out where these things are. So the people in the public will communicate and get what they want to know. Jeannie, she's raising her hand. She doesn't want
No, it's in the public folder.
it. Public folder, and that's where you find all this information.
Yes.
Yes.
Again, just getting the word out to people that, again,
Yep.
to your point, communications and, transparency, there it is. It's right there for the folks
Right.
that aren't here tonight and aren't listening at home. It can be looked up at a later date and easily found, hopefully. Thank you for that.
Any other questions for Dr. Crowley and his goals?
I'm being told it's my turn by Ms.
All
Wetzel.
right. Mr. Lipset.
First of all, thanks for this. I like the integration of the DESI report to the strategic plan to the goals. I'm just noting, so on the last page, increased communication with stakeholders. Could we add reference to engagement? I'd like to see, communication is great. Two-way communication is better. So being able to engage families, engage students, engage staff with that communication, I think would be beneficial. And then the other thing, and this is, it's a point within the first bullet point on that same page. I would like the schools to just sort of review our policies and practices around information sharing, especially regarding federal government. I'm cognizant of news stories such as the one out of Everett recently in terms of school involvement with detention of a 13-year-old. That's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night, and so I want to make sure that we have a clear understanding of what our protocols and practices are around information sharing in that space as well, just to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to protect our students, our families.
Sure.
But other than that, I think these are worthy goals. I look forward to watching from the sidelines as they unfold.
Thank you, Mr. Lipset. I think Ms. Wetzel is next.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to thank you for putting this together, and it was really great to see how your goals are reflected in the strategic plan and how the strategic plan is reflected in you, kind of like what we just talked about. Also in the review that we did of you at the end of last year, I think some of those things that were brought up are also reflected in the goals, and you've already started changing some of that, which I think is good. I don't really have anything to add, just more, I liked how all of this flows together, and it seems to make a lot of sense, and I'm excited to see it play out, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wetzel. Mr. Mulrennan?
I just kind of piggyback off Mr. Lips's point there, Dr. Crowley. I know November 1st, SNAP benefits are running out for some of our families.
Yeah.
I hope we have something in place for those families in need and how they can approach their principal in their building and, direct their attention to whatever they may need, and hopefully the needs are met in the future, and this will all go away someday. But just, that's immediate response from the school department would be helpful in that regard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Agreed. It's something that I brought up today at the leadership meeting. We actually had a principal meeting earlier in the day, brought it up there. Samantha Stone has been in contact with, we've been in contact with each other. And I think there's approximately 4,000 families in Woburn that receive SNAP benefits. And so it's a real concern. And so I've also reached out to Lisa Tumayan, our food service director, to see if there's anything that she needed or could provide. I go back to when we closed in March of 2020 on a Friday for 2 weeks. But on Monday, we had at the high school, we were delivering or providing lunch, or bagged lunch. And so Woburn is amazing. And I said back then, I said it today at an earlier meeting, this is where Maslow trumps Bloom. Like, we need to take care of our people to get, before they can even get to, higher order thinking. And so
I appreciate your efforts there as well.
and just for the public, because one of the things that Ms. Tumayan said, and we are fortunate because we still are providing free breakfast and lunch. And so just a reminder to families that is an option, and we are going to watch the numbers of potential students impacted and see if there's a rise in the number of meals served.
And just to clarify for the public, that is not impacted at all by any change to staff.
No, no.
Just want to make
Ms.
that point.
Wetzel?
Yeah.
If I could add to the food, the city of Woburn put on their Facebook page and on their website a list of organizations that have food pantries where you can get support. So if folks need that, it's certainly available. And also, I saw Roma's Bakery posted on
yeah,
November
the bread.
1st that they're going to be having a bread, no questions asked, where families can come and get a loaf.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're a wonderful community, and I
Yeah.
we do a lot of great things. But it's also a real thing, the shortage of food.
Thank you, Ms. Wetzel. Anything else for the superintendent's goals? Mr. Austin?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have many words, nor are they fancy. I just want to give credit where it's due. It can't be easy to be evaluated, especially public, and I see a lot of key actions that are reflected on what you was evaluated on, and also I feel like what a lot of community members have either brought up in some manner, and I see a lot of actions that it seems that you're taking or looking to take that's going to directly reflect those areas. And so I just want to say, commendable work, and I don't know, be proud of yourself, man. You did good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Austin.
Just
Anything?
accept these, right?
Well, I actually have a couple questions. Okay, well, I'm looking at the established, consistent, equitable, development, appropriate behavior systems, and I think this is a wonderful goal. I'm just wondering what is the expected outcome? Because this is just something I care a lot about, and I was just wondering what that looks like and what would the committee be looking at in terms of an outcome if this initiative was successful?
So I think a decrease in behavior referrals would be something that would be measurable, specific to effective implementation. I think what might be attendance would be potentially something that would be a measurable outcome.
Right.
Because students would be in school.
Okay.
And I can.
No, thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Crowley. Would you, if the committee's okay with this, considering this is kind of the heart of what we do, would it be okay if we put this on for the next agenda just for a quick discussion and approval? Because Mr. Lipset and I both asked for, I would just like a little bit more elaboration on that, just so we can, I want the public to see that why this is so important, because it's going to, this
Sure.
is going to be the outcome that we're going to see.
Mhm.
And then I have the same thoughts for, again, you mentioned school safety, which I think is a huge and very important piece. And so I would just, it sounds like you're going to be doing a lot of conversations about what other districts are doing, what's working. But I don't know if the end goal is to create a more comprehensive safety protocol for schools, or I didn't know what can we see as a result of that? Or is it just sort of roundtabling with other?
So I think one of the way I'm thinking about it, to some extent, and I can think more on it, but I think there's a capital request that would be part of
Okay.
the safety
Okay, so,
planning.
all right, so it's taking the safety initiatives and then coming up with a capital request. Oh, okay, so it's in that bucket. All right.
In my mind's eye. I
Okay.
can,
No, that's fine. I just wanted to see where that was going. Okay. I guess that really clarifies me. I don't really need any edits there, but I
Okay.
think if we can accept the goals, I think what the committee could do at this point is accept the goals, and then Dr. Crowley will simply make those two changes.
I will make a motion that we accept the goals of the superintendent, anticipating 2 changes going forward.
Second that motion?
Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so that motion passes. These are the superintendent goals with a little refinement for the word engagement, and also just to tease out what the behavior outcomes would be in that piece. Okay. Who has minutes?
We can suspend that if we want to till the next meeting.
Make a motion that we
Table.
Table.
the minutes for subcommittees until our next meeting.
Yeah.
Second.
Is there any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the minutes for on this agenda are now tabled to the next meeting. I do want to note 2 correspondences. Mr. Heimlich's first name is? Stephen. Stephen, thank you. Stephen Heimlich sent us a very nice email, very educated on the fire station issue, was advocating that the school committee really asked some good questions about the safety of placing the fire station on the Reeve site, and also making some really good suggestions. So that's part of the public record. The second one was from Rachel Kuberry, who wanted us to remember that in our SOI discussions, in our discussions of future buildings, that we do consider special education, specially designed instruction spaces, so that when we're designing buildings and thoughts of buildings, we are considering the need for the additional space that's attached to services for students on IEPs. And those are the only 2 correspondence that I have. Mr. Viola read his into the record, and I don't think I have anything else. Ms. Wetzel.
I have a few.
Sure.
So Emily Peters, I had a conversation with her, and she just wanted to make sure that we look over the survey data as we're deliberating in our conversations about the fire station. And then Marie Kelly I had a conversation, and she sent me a message about accessible parking at the Lynn Scott School. And Mr. Kay and Lenny have had conversations with her as well, or with me, and I have been chatting with her. And then Rachel Kuberry sent me an email about enrollment as it applies to redistricting as we're looking at that. And then lastly, this is really cool, Robin Lee Borsick sent me an email, and she did a segment for NBC News about autism and Halloween, and she even incorporated her daughter's AAC device, and so that aired tonight at 4:15, and then it's on again tomorrow at 8 a.m. and then 11 a.m. So if anyone wants to watch it, I thought that was really neat.
Thank you, Ms. Wetzel. Any other correspondences? Mr. Mulrennan.
I believe myself and Ms. Wetzel received a correspondence from Mr. Bob Davis, the veteran agent here in Woburn, obviously with the invitation. I think Jeannie was going to, Ms. McCall was going to forward to all the members coming up for the Veterans Day Parade. So you got that. And just a reminder that the mayor's dinner is on Sunday. We're all
Thank you.
hope to attend that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mulrennan.
If you're
Okay.
a senior.
You help out or not?
Future agenda
Yes, sir,
items, we'll continue our deliberations on building SOI. And, go ahead.
School improvement plans?
School improvement plans will be our
And,
next
M-
endeavor.
MCAS and other data.
Okay, so next meeting, we will have school improvement plans and some data to look at, as well as our continuing deliberations towards a statement of interest.
Yes.
And superintendent's goals.
Oh, and a revised superintendent's goals. Thank you,
Although,
Mr.
no,
Wilson.
never mind.
Yeah, we voted them.
Voted it.
But we might get a copy of the revised ones.
Listen,
Quick update.
yeah.
Our next meeting is the Marine Corps birthday, so bring me a cake.
Okay, we'll bring you a
November
cake.
10th.
Is there anything else? Yes, Ms. Cormier.
Two upcoming events that I will also mention on the 10th. First, both on November 15th, Saturday, the part-time job fair through the city. Smith Stone has been working very hard on this. So that'll be 10:30 a.m. at the high school. There's, I don't know, like 20 employers so far, so it's going to be a lovely time. I know, right? And the Woburn Community Education Foundation is having their gourmet gala at 6 p.m. that same night. The purpose is to raise money for the grant program for our educators. So everyone is invited to RSVP quickly because they are running out of tables. But one can also sponsor or make a donation, but the guest list is closing quickly on that, so visit their website for more information.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cormier. Ms. Wetzel?
Sorry, one last thing.
Sure.
The City Hall trick or treat is tomorrow from 4:30 to 6:30, and Ms. Chisholm and I will be there with candy.
Great. Thank you.
Candy and witches.
All right, I don't see anything else, so
Park my broom
I
right up
will
by
take
the
a
back door.
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any- All in favor? This meeting is adjourned.